Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're waiting another board member to arrive, but we're going to go ahead and start our meeting. So welcome to you all, and Mr. Weber, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis? Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. This time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hall.
Treasurer Mr. Weber, Superintendent Mr. Tucker, Board President Mr. Williams, and distinguished board members. Tonight we have a student from General Johnny Wilson Middle School who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Rihanna Marza is an 8th grade student and is the daughter of Tanika Ali and Sadat Marza. She has a sibling, Sabia Marza, who is a 6th grade student at Washington Elementary School. Rihanna's interests includes youth ministry at First Church of Scientists and scientific research that works towards the betterment of our communities. She is also involved in Tech Club at General Johnny Wilson. After the pledge, she will speak on Black History Month. Mr. Michael Scott from General Johnny Wilson Middle School is here tonight to support his student. Rihanna? Everyone please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amazed at my own existence, my blood runs deep in the veins of memory stained. I stand because they would not fall, could not fall. Determination too tall, heart too big, spirit too loud, silence befalls the crowd. You acknowledge my face, count me out of the race, but I pick up the pace. I have every trait and trace of my ancestors' innovation and grace. This life does not belong only to the swift. Every precious moment is a gift. I am a gift. I am Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz. I am Rosa Parks. I am Madam C.J. Walker. I am George Washington Carver. I am Langston Hughes. I am Charles Drew. Just to name a few. With precious knowledge I hope to imbue. Yes, to inspire with words and deeds. A gift among gifts who continue to plant more seeds. Thank you.
We also have tonight Malaysia Hughes. She's a 13-year-old student at General Johnny Wilson Middle School, also a merit roll student there. Her interest includes singing, dancing, and cheerleading. She will sing our Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice, and sing. Everyone please stand.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heavens ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let the rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the joys that the dark past has taught us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let it march on till victory is won.
Please be seated. I'd like to also acknowledge her teacher here as well, Mr. Belmels. It's an excellent job. Thank you. She does a great job with our youth. We'd also like to thank our parents and both students' parents for attending and supporting Lorain City Schools. And I have a certificate for both students as well. At this time, I'd also like to have special recognition tonight for our schools that have acquired a 93% attendance for the second semester. Now, 93% attendance is one of our state requirements, but many of these schools have made a 2, 3, 4% gain as opposed to where they were last year at this time. And it's all attributed to our team effort with the students and also our staff and administrators giving that support. Tonight we have those principals here who would like to come up and receive certificates for those as well. Okay. Have Admiral King Elementary, who went from a 94% attendance last year to 96%. Please come up and stand. Yes, you stand over here. Garfield? Okay. We have Garfield went from a 92% second semester to a 95% currently right now. Next, we have Hawthorne Elementary. He went from a 92% to a 95%. Helen Steiner Rice. Okay, Helen Steiner Rice, who went from a 93% to a 95%. We have Palm Elementary, who went from a 93% last year to a 96%. Stephen Dohanis, who went from a 90% to a 94%. At Washington Elementary School, went from a 93% last year to a 94%. Tony Morrison, went from a 93% to a 96%. And we have also our 2 middle schools as well. And everywhere I go throughout the state and when I talk to other school districts, and it's a major accomplishment for them to receive this award and to have such a high attendance mark. They went from a 91% to the 95 and also 96% throughout the year, but they moved like 4 or 5% at that level. General Johnny Wilson Middle School. Longfellow Middle School went from 91 to 95%. And we have our elementary school, Larkmore, who went from a 93% to a 95%. I think it's great to acknowledge also other schools we had tremendous gains. We had like the high school went from 88% to 92%, but they're not reached the mark yet. And we also had our New Beginnings program went from a 73% last year to an 83% this year. Credit recovery went from a 70% last year this time to an 81%. So the district as a whole went from a 90% at this time period to a 94%, maintaining right now currently. And on behalf of the Board of Education, Lorain City Schools, we'd like to thank all of our parents, students, teachers, administrators, administrative staff, attendance officers, and Lorain County Public Schools Truancy Program for assisting all of our schools in the area of increasing our attendance. I'd like to acknowledge those people as well for Mr. Young. Will you please stand? A great job. For increasing also Mr. Hawks as well for assisting as well. Yes, Mr. Young, Mr. Hawks, and Mr. Gibbs as well. It's been a team effort. Also, the courts has done a phenomenal job teaming up with us, and I believe 3 areas has increased our attendance. That was Mr. Tucker's reorganizing staff to provide attendance support to the middle and high school. That was tremendous. Partnership with the Lorain County Truancy Program, and buildings working with parents and students to reinforce the importance of school attendance. I'd like to thank all of you. Thank you very much, principals, for attending and for all your help.
And staff, if you guys.
This time, Mr. Hawks, we have recognition of a special visitor.
Thank you. At this time, every year, our Bond Oversight Committee Ms. Smith, if you would please. She, since the conception of the Bond Oversight Committee in 2002, we have always given the board an update on the monies that this community has passed. So at this time, I would like to turn this over for Mrs. Smith to give the report to the board and to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Hawks. Superintendent, Mr. Tucker. President, Mr. Williams. Board of Education members, Treasurer, Mr. Weber, and ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be here this evening to, again, make the report for the Bond Issue Oversight Committee. Since its inception in 2002, the mission statement of the Board of the Bond Issue Oversight Committee has been to review and monitor the expenditure of funds raised from the bond issue for the design, engineering, construction, and renovation of school facilities. To report the committee's findings to the board and the community on a regular basis and with a formal written report to the board at least once a year that summarizes the previous year's activities. During the calendar year 2013, the Bond Issue Oversight Committee, consisting of Martha Smith, chairperson, Ron Mantini, co-chair, Dorothy Anderson, Bob Baylog, Eddie Edwards, Martha Pye, Don Killinger, and Raul Ramos, met 3 times to review the investment returns and the progress of construction or demolition for the projects underway during this time period. The minutes of the meetings are attached for your review should you desire further detail. There were 2 demolitions in progress in 2013. Lorain High School, formerly the Lorain Admiral King High School, was demolished and is in the closeout process, with costs pending at $1,677,943. The Masson Elementary School building was also abated and demolished in 2013, and the costs are pending at $433,592 until closeout is completed. The remaining demolition projects are Lakeview, Lowell, and Southview High School. It is anticipated that the advertising for abatement and demolition of Lakeview Elementary School will be in early 2014. The last new construction project to be completed is, as you know, the new Lorain High School. There are 4 phases to the design process. First is the program of requirements, then schematic design, followed by design development, and finally, the construction documents. These phases must be completed prior to bidding the project for construction. The high school project is currently in the construction document phase. We are waiting for the state to approve moving forward with the bidding process in light of the ruling from the court that the project labor agreement, previously rescinded by the state, must be included since it was board and OSFC approved prior to the state rescinding the use of project labor agreements on future construction projects. There are 3 LFIs, locally funded initiatives, for the new high school. One is for the storage and restoration of the auditorium seating in the amount of $132,283.75. One for $5,953,037.16 for additional academic space and $2,179,380.77 for the auditorium. These costs include the additional architect fees for design and construction management oversight fees for the LFIs. It is anticipated that the cost of the new high school project will be $70 million, not including the LFIs. And the spent-to-date amount on the project is currently pending at $4,385,999. Interest earnings on the project have generated a total of $10,459,942 through the end of December 2013. And these funds can be utilized to cover any overages and can also be used for locally funded initiatives such as the additional academic space needed and the auditorium. The average investment maturity reported in December by the Lorain City Schools Finance Department is 100 days with a 0.33% return rate on funds deposited. As you know, the interest rates on CDs continue to run low, and Mr. Weber has been working diligently with the investment managers on the investments of local funds to make sure a maximum return is realized. The fee for the investment manager is paid from the interest earnings. Attached is a brief summary of the investment activities provided by the treasurer, Mr. Weber, and prepared by Productive Capital Management Incorporated. Those portfolio analysis forms and graphs are included in your package. The benefit analysis. Current portfolio weighted yield of 0.47%, securities only, versus average local bank one-year CD rates of 0.267% equates to an additional $29,883 of annualized income net of advisory fees on a portfolio of $26.5 million. The Lorain City School Building Project Financial Summary as of December the 31st, 2013. Interest. The state interest, the money on the state's monies is $1,307,231. The local funds, $9,152,711 for a total interest of $10,459,942. Expenditures as of December the 31st, $140,619,934. We have a balance in reserve of $67,937,150. These figures that I've just given you represent a time frame from January 2002 to December 31st, 2013, and include costs for contractors, construction manager, former and present, and architects. Costs continue to be paid from the state share of the project, other than an initial amount of approximately $8 million used from the local share at the beginning of the project, and according to the projections on the draw schedule, the remaining local share will not be accessed until 2015. These time frames are modified as construction schedules progress. The treasurer is meeting with the facilities department each month to ladder the investments so that the cash flow is available for LFIs and construction expenditures as we move toward liquidity and use of local share funds. The 2013 BIOC recommendations to the Board of Education. The district continues to do an exemplary job of managing the construction funds. However, as the project is entering its final phase, the board is encouraged to continue to manage the remaining funds to ensure that the remaining demolitions and construction of the new high school are completed within budget. With that said, the committee fully endorses the treasurer beginning to evaluate the continued use of the investment manager and to revise their contract accordingly as investments wane. The committee also feels it important to reiterate to the general public about the use of the designated bond funds as it relates to the building project. The committee wishes to remind the public that the funds approved by the voters for this building project cannot be used for operating expenditures for the new buildings. The use of the funds is very specific and can only be used to construct or demolish those buildings that are part of this OFCC project. Part of the committee's duties is to ensure that the funds are used only for this purpose and not for operating costs or any other costs generally covered by the district's general fund. The BIOC committee conclusion. The committee is pleased to report that the project still remains in good financial condition given the number of buildings constructed and demolitions completed to date. This committee is also pleased to report that expenditures continue to be appropriately made and investments monitored until such time as the funds cannot be invested due to use on the project for paying construction costs. Please be aware that we are moving toward liquidity of the local share funds and interest as we move into the construction phase of the new high school and the LFIs as previously noted. Therefore, lest interest earnings will be realized and eventually cease to accrue as we use the local share toward the expenditures and the interest earnings on the additional academic space and auditorium. The committee would like to again highly commend Mr. Jeff Hawks, Maggie Carter, and Colleen Fallon for their continued assistance in coordinating our activities during the year. Their dedication to the creation of a new and exciting environment for the current and future students of the Lorain City School District through oversight of the construction projects, financial tracking, and the initiative shown in packaging projects for more competitive bids is gratefully acknowledged. The school system is extremely fortunate to have such dedicated and committed employees. On behalf of the BIOC, I would like to thank the board and for the continued opportunity to provide input and recommendations on this exciting project for the benefit of the students of Lorain City Schools. Respectfully submitted, Martha Smith. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much for that report. We appreciate the work that you and the committee have done.
Thank you.
And we look forward to not having to do this too much longer.
Yes. Our next organizational meeting, I believe, is March the 20th. So, thank you.
Thank you. This time we would entertain our first hearing of the public. If any of our guests would like to address the board, at this time you may come forward and do so. No takers, huh? Come on, somebody. This time, gentlemen, is there any old business? Oh, excuse me. We need a motion to approve the minutes from our regular board meeting held on Monday, February 3rd, 2014, and the special session on Wednesday, February 12th, 2014.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. This time, is there any old business for discussion? Then we will move forward with the recommendation of the treasurer, Mr. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. 4 items on the docket this evening. Standard financial reports one for January 2014. The cash balance, the general fund cash balance at the end of January was $6,058,783. The real estate tax revenues have started coming in late January and February, and we'll have the final tally in late March, which is called the first half collections. So we're about 5 weeks away from getting the final tally for us, so maybe 4 weeks away. Item 2 is purchase orders requiring board approval. Item 3 are some donations. And item 4, back in August, the board approved for itself to travel to the Capitol Conference in November. They approved $5,500, and the actual tally came in at $3,030.95. So I ask for approval of items 1 through 4.
Motion to approve items 1 through 4.
Second.
Discussion?
Just a question, Mr. Weber, based on your forecast
Mm-hmm.
and the collection of taxes,
Mm-hmm.
are we pretty much where you expected us to be, or are we better, or
We're
is it too early to tell?
I can't tell yet. I did a little tally this afternoon. I'll say it's for now on target.
Okay.
My best estimate is on target right now.
Because if I recall, the balance on your forecast at the end of the school year was not a lot of money.
Right, well, $23,000
Yeah.
was any fund balance,
So
correct?
there's not a lot of,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions, gentlemen? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. At this time, we have report and recommendations from the superintendent, Mr. Tucker.
Under reports, one thing that I want to discuss tonight is this is just a copy of what's up here. Some considerations that we've been looking at, and I've been charged with some things to do. So the team has been looking at things. We've done research around the state. We've looked at research models. Some of the considerations that I've had to take a look at with my team and the district is, one, to continue positive education experience, which goes without saying. The thing that we know is extremely important, and also the commission has said this, is early childhood learning, which is preschool at all sites. If you remember, we added some this past year, and we're still one short. One thing that I've been dedicated to do is eliminate split classes. That's where you have a 3rd and 4th together, a 5th and 6th together. We were successful in doing that in probably 60 to 70%, but we're still hamstrung by some items, which I'll talk about in a second. The other thing is balanced class size, and with that balanced class size comes flexible groupings. And when in a building, when you only have 1 grade or 2 grades, like one first grade class or 2 second grade classes, it's extremely difficult to do any kind of flexible groupings or balance your class sizes because of that. The other thing is teacher grade level collaboration. Today it's about teacher-based teams and collaboration and getting students what they need and how they need it and getting them in the right place with that data. And it's very difficult if there's only 1 in a building or 2 in a building. The other thing is we need to have our focus really on the literacy on the K-2. The 3rd grade guarantee, it's in the paper all the time. And then we need to focus on OAAs at 3 through 6, in addition to literacy, but OAAs kick in at that point. The other thing that I've been working on since coming back, because it's so near and dear to my heart, is restoring art and music in the elementary. a prime example was tonight. For those of you that have never done that, to stand up there and sing like that, that takes a lot of gumption. She was fabulous, by the way. That was outstanding. It's easy to sing with a band or an accompaniment, but to stand there and do it in tune that well was fabulous. Sorry, get excited to talk about music. And the other thing is we have to think ahead because this high school is going to be built. We are going to return to 3 middle schools. We're finally going to get one in the south side of town, and we will go back to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which is what they were designed for, and research shows is absolutely correct. And the other thing we've looked at dramatically is the more opportunities of busing our elementary students, because that's what our parents need, and that's what a big challenge is when we look at the attendance is for our students. So with that in mind, we've come to a number of different things which we wanted to do earlier, but has really kind of slowed us down with the snow. We're doing a couple of things right now. Earlier this week, we had a professional development, and I talked to just about every staff member about what we're thinking of doing. Right now, we have a parent or a staff survey went out, I believe today, on SurveyMonkey, which they can answer online. A parent-family survey, which I have a copy of, is going to go out tomorrow, and it'll be online, or they can fill it out on paper, however they want to get it back to us, and I believe we have a 2-week window to do that. Because what we're proposing is a couple of things. And this isn't, based upon where we built the buildings. A decision was made 12 years ago to build smaller buildings, which is good, and it's not so good depending on what you want to do. And they were built on properties, and they were built in areas that schools had traditionally been there. What has happened, if you look at our demographics of where people live and where students live, it's not necessarily where our school buildings are anymore. And you don't know that. You didn't know that in 2000, 2001, and here we are in 2014, so we have to adapt to that. So we looked at other school districts similar to ours, we looked at where success is, and we looked at what we could do. And what we're looking at doing, and once again, this is a proposal, is to pair buildings up. In Lorain, there's a lot of logical pairings of buildings because they're in similar neighborhoods and they're close together. In other places, not necessarily, but pretty much they're paired up similarly. What we'd like to do is pair buildings based upon our survey if we get what we need back, and we want to focus on pre-K through 2nd grade. And what that means is we currently have 4 preschools. We have the money, and we're applying for some additional money from the state. A grant just came out today. They're increasing another $2 or $3 million in preschool in the state. That we will have a preschool at every one of our buildings. We can't have 10, but we can do 5. We have 10 elementaries. Then we can focus on the pre-K through the 2nd grade, and we can do a lot of things within the building. By pairing those up, what we're looking at is anywhere to 3 to 5 grade levels per building. So now the teachers can collaborate. Now we have flexible groupings. Now with 3 to 4 or 5 teachers, you can balance out class sizes. Because the challenge I have now is I may have 19 students here and 32 in another building, but I can't bus a student from the east side of Lorain all the way out to the west side or vice versa. The other thing we're looking at is 3rd grade through 6th grade. Why that? Those are our tested grades. Those are the OAA scores. And at some point that 6th grade in 2 years will be going back to the middle schools. At that point, then we can put a lot of tutors and a lot of our focus for the OAAs in those buildings, and those teachers can collaborate. The other thing we want to do is add locations for gifted. We only have 1 gifted. We need more We've got a lot of gifted students that we've identified. There's more to identify, and we need to ramp that up and get them in other buildings besides the one that's in now. Not do away with it, expand it, make it bigger, make more of them. One of the things we believe the survey will show us that we're looking at is right now we're busing students at 2 miles. And we know that's a challenge, and we know we're losing students to other areas because of the busing. We're looking at the cost factor. We will be eliminating a number of staff members on this, and there's always enough people to retire that it works out, especially at the elementary level. So it isn't like anybody's going to lose a job. But with that extra, I will have the money to bring back art and music, and we're hoping to get busing down to a 1.5 or a 1 mile. Now, the challenge of not having maybe 2 students in a building, now you'll get them on a bus. One of them will get on a bus, so you won't have to worry about that near as much. That's a real challenge. So that's what we're gonna look at when we get our surveys back. And we don't have a whole lot of details on this. We've got a real big conceptual part of this on how it will work. Once we get the surveys back, then we'll have more details. So that's what we're looking at. That, there is gonna be no major additional funding coming in so we can put art and music back. This is a way we can focus to get that back. I also want to announce that I reached out to the Nordson Corporation Foundation on not having our libraries and our media specialists in the buildings, and told them we were working on getting those back. And they cut us a check for $140,000, which will pay for our media specialists this year and next year. And we have that, and some of them are already back, and we need to hire one or two more. But we will have our libraries open this year, and if we can get this plan going the way we want, we can increase our busing and also have art and music back for next year. So this is just a preliminary glimpse of what's coming. There'll be more details as we come along. And fill out the surveys and get that information back to us. That's a real crucial piece. And I have a copy for the press for them tonight.
Are there any questions, gentlemen, for this part of the presentation?
A lot of districts have gone to this, and if you look around the state, this is the model. In fact, some have gone to second grade buildings, third grade buildings, and that's too difficult here.
Well, and it gets back to where the buildings are.
Mm-hmm.
There's no money, was no money in the project for land. Fortunately, we had land, and through demolition and other things, but the district that's being replaced was the district that was formed to handle the baby boomers, when we were opening new schools up every year for 4 or 5 years. Now there's a reverse, and live birth rates are down, and so it makes sense as to what you're saying is to grouping the kids with, like needs in a building, and then addressing, is that what I'm hearing you saying?
That's exactly right. When you have, like, the teachers will have the ability, if you have fourth grades, you'll have the ability to move those students where their needs are. Right now, if there's only 1 or 2, it's extremely difficult to make that happen. And there's power in collaboration, and there's power in them sharing what's going on in their classrooms with each other.
And I've talked to some other superintendents in other districts, and many of them expressed they would desire to be able to do something like this. Their district isn't large enough to do it in many regards. And then other districts have simply chosen that for traditional reasons, in the comfort of the community, they stay the way they are. This is a decision that's based on development. So it's not just the logistics of how do we transport them. It's more about how can we put the most ideal, effective learning environment in place to meet the needs of these kids. So, I think it's a significant move that will ultimately increase child learning. And when you can group kids in ways that allow you more flexibility, I just see it's a real advantage. And of course, with us busing kids, I think one of the time we talked before, and when parents had to drop off kids at 2 different schools in the same household, that was a major challenge. Through the busing scenario, this will not put a burden on families to say, hey, I don't like it because I've got to take Sally over here now and Johnny over there. So again, I think we've been able to address the logistics and focus on what's best for the learning.
That was one of our focus. The educational piece, it goes without saying, this is hands down better. But ours is the reality is, what do I have to do in my home to get that child to school, or 2 or 3 children to school? Because I walk with my brothers and sisters at Larkmore right down the street. I didn't want to, but Mom said, you take your brothers and shut up, and you walk down the street. That's what you did. But if we have the busing, they're comfortable putting the student on the bus, and they'll make sure they get there and get home.
And I think, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, it'd certainly help if we didn't have to bus the charter and private school kids. That would open up the doors for our own kids.
We are hoping a lot of them tell us that they go there because they get bused, and if this may come back, this may help us. Okay, there'll be more coming, and we'll wait for the surveys to come back from the parents.
Thank you.
Tom, could board members get a copy of the survey?
I got a copy of this, the family one right now.
Oh, they're just on the
Teacher,
ball.
the teacher one is online, it's Monkey
I'm
Monkey
not
Survey.
interested in that.
There you go.
What page?
Front to back. Okay, under recommendations of the superintendent, item 1 is approval of discontinuances as listed there. If you notice, Elizabeth Arroyo, who's been with us a long time, is retiring. All known as Cookie to most people. She's been very helpful in the print shop for many years. Item 2, consider of new approvals. These are all Title I tutors to assist with plumbing. Support staff, that's one of our media clerks that we are bringing back. Item 3, approval of leave of absences as listed. Item 4, salary adjustments. This is the second round of the, when they earn master's degrees or extra education. They do that at the beginning of the year, and then they get an opportunity to do it in the middle of the year, and that's what that is. So ask for approval of personnel matters A, items 1 through 4.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Operation Matters B, item 5, enter a contract with the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. This is for services. This is part of an endowment grant expenditure. Item 6, approval of a contract for a DJ for Johnny Wilson. This is student activity expenditure. Item 7, consider approval of corporate revisions of the previously adopted Ohio Department of Education Special Education Model Policies and Procedures. They changed the law, changed the rules, so we have to adopt their new policies. We have to adopt them even though they're law, so that's why they're there. C, facility, operation matter B, approve items 5, 6, and 7.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
C, facility matters, item 8, this has been a long time coming. Consider approval of resolution regarding disposal of the former warehouse building project for property. If anybody wants it, we'll pay you to take it, I'm kidding. That was a Lorain Telephone Company project. My dad started working out of there way back, who knows when. Item 9, consider approval of a resolution to amend Resolution 02R53 establishing the project responsibilities as listed. As for approval of facility matters, item 8 and 9.
Motion to approve. Item 8 and 9.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Other matters, item 10 and 11, I give the board the opportunity here to tell me what you desire to do. The law changes on July 1, 2014. Under that law change, we go to hours, and you've been reading a lot about the calamity days in there. And we go to hours, not days. Under the new law, what it says is when you change any kind of the amount of hours or the amount of days, which we're not doing, then there has to be a 60-day or 30-day notice, and the public can speak. And I've talked to an attorney in Ohio, or the ODE says they recommend but not required that you have to have that hearing. All the hearing is you just announce, hey, there's going to be a hearing, and then at the beginning of the board meeting, the public can come in and say whatever they want on the calendar. I don't care one way or another. We just have to wait to approve the calendar. We don't have to do the 30 days if you don't want. We could, if the reason is 30 days puts us all the way in the middle of April. We're getting late. If we go to the last board meeting, we're like 26, 27 days, and it's published, and they come in. It's under the hearing of the public is the hearing for that. So that would be an option if you choose to do that. And that would be on item 10. Item 11, you're just approving a tentative, and it doesn't matter.
Well, Tom, as you know, the law specifically says that no later than 30 days before the board adopts a new calendar for the school year, the board shall have a public meeting. No such meeting has taken place.
Actually, that's as of July 1, 2014. It's recommended, not required this year. It's recommended, not required.
Well,
And that's why I'm offering to the board. And I have an attorney, Giardini, look at this and give me an opinion also. And I also called the Superintendent's Association, and it was the same. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to push this off to April, and
well, I interpret it differently. I think the law is clear. When I spoke with Dick Castor at OSBA on Tuesday, because he's our liaison now, so I put him to use, and he called me back 20 minutes later and said, I have checked with one of our attorneys in our legal department, you should have the meeting. So I will not, I would support tonight, and I understand your dilemma.
it's not a dilemma. It's just
we
disagree on the law, but that's okay.
Well, I don't. The law says, I have it here if you want to read it. But
I'll put up the
So are you
ODE's
ask-
recommendation on the
Are you asking for
website.
approval for items 10 and 11? Is that what your recommendation is?
What I'm asking for
Just
on,
remember, Mr.
on item
Demakia,
10.
if I might, we all took oaths to uphold the law. I have a opinion or a recommendation from OSBA's legal department to have the meeting. I will not, now, I would approve, the key word is adopt. The law says adopt.
correct.
So I have no problem with the schedule or the calendar. So if we said we will approve it and you agreed to have the meeting at a later date and after that we would adopt it, I don't have a problem with that.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so,
What is the
excuse me, gentlemen.
That'd be fine. So the language here would hold, and then we just have a 30-day and do it.
But you have to agree to have a meeting.
It's
And you could put all of this into that you're doing now into that.
and it would be a hearing, and a hearing comes at the beginning.
It's not a hearing, it's a meeting.
It's at the beginning of the board meeting. You do it at the beginning of the board meeting.
Okay, so,
As long as we have a public meeting regarding the calendar.
Are we,
I'm
Hang on, Tony.
speaking,
yeah,
if you
please,
don't mind.
let's.
I would understand that, but if you want to read the law, I have it here on my laptop or my
I'm fairly
iPad.
certain our legal counsel will advise us in the
Well, I
right
would-
direction. And I'm
before
certainly
I-
confident in
I
Mr.
would-
Tucker
I
will lead
would
us in the right
lean-
direction
I
as
lean to
well.
somebody that knows school law.
okay,
than
so,
Mr. Giardini.
Wow.
point of order here, gentlemen. For clarity reasons, because there's a lot of confusion, so we're gonna go back and
There's no
clarify.
confusion.
Yeah, there's enough confusion
No, there
in the conversation that some people might not know which side is which.
Other matters C,
So-
I recommend items 10 and 11, and we will go ahead, and this will be the beginning of the notice of the 30-day, and we will do that in April.
But before we go there, we have legal counsel. There is not a debate in terms of that. When Mr. Tucker indicates that he has gotten a legal opinion from our legal counsel, and then he has consulted a second opinion, as far as us making a decision based on the legal side of it, there is our clarity. Jim, with all due respect, you're not an attorney.
No,
So,
but
wait,
Mr.
I
Castor checked
am
with
now,
an attorney.
I am now finished. Mr. Castor is not our attorney.
I didn't say he was.
Listen, you asked for when you were talking? So I'm making a statement. I'm not having a discussion or debate. I'm making a statement. So we have legal counsel, which we pay for. The superintendent, in his authority, has requested an additional legal opinion. So as far as legally, the basis of our decision, if it was a legal piece, is going to be based on what our superintendent has brought as a recommendation. So there is no debate in terms of whether this is legal or illegal. That is not, that's not the debate, Jim. I'm sorry, and I appreciate you're getting the opinion from another person, but again, just so the board members understand the community, we have legal counsel. Our superintendent, our treasurer, always gets support if they have any question about that. Correct, Mr. Tucker?
Yeah, that's correct. I
Yeah, so-
also went with ODE's recommendation.
Yeah. And
And
again,
they do say recommend.
right. So if ODE says recommend, they would not recommend something that was legally pending.
They're not our legal counsel either.
Well, exactly, but again, there are lots of opinions out there, and the most important one is the legal opinion that we've received. Okay, so, Mr. Tucker, based on all of that conversation, we would like you to make a recommendation to what you desire, and then we will then vote. We've had the discussion. We will then vote on on that point?
I'd recommend items 10 and 11, and I do not have a problem having an open hearing for that. I don't have, or a open meeting for that discussion. I have no problem doing that in 30 days.
Motion to approve items 10 and 11.
Second.
No more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia,
Of course.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
I abstain because I think it's in violation of the Ohio Revised Code.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
That concludes.
Please make certain, Mr. Weber, that the
That's over.
minutes reflect my statement.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that.
We are going to be going into an executive session, but before we do that, there's a special acknowledgement. Well, wait a minute, let me get
While
my
you're getting
order.
organized,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm getting ahead of myself, all right.
Mr. Williams,
Yes, sir.
while you get organized, can I make a comment?
Please, yes, yes.
You know, I want to digress a little bit to what Mr. Tucker said in his presentation up there. One thing that I think is important. Again, as much as I appreciate our position as handling the business of this district, and I certainly appreciate being a part of the progress of Lorain City Schools, I think that, you know, getting back to the two young ladies that, number one, they were phenomenal this evening, and, you know, what they did up here is something that this district is certainly about. And it's interesting because, you know, I think we need to get back to recognizing our kids at these meetings. We have a great forum for recognizing some of the great talents of this district and bringing them. And maybe we should start thinking about, you know, I get this is a board meeting, we got to handle the business and we got to do those things, but it is certainly nice to see that going on. And again, for that young lady to get up there and sing like that, I mean, I don't sing by myself, let alone in a group
We're
of people.
grateful for that,
And I
because I've heard you
certainly wouldn't
sing.
have done it at her age. You know, and you know, the reason I bring that up is because I had an opportunity, and Mrs. Miller is here, and I was over at Longfellow, and I got an opportunity to see a video program that Mrs. Deb Hansen is running over there, and they created these two just phenomenal videos, and I know they do more than that, but in the brief time that I was there, they created these anti-bullying videos that, you know, it was unfortunate that it took that long for me to go to Longfellow to see that, because I should be able to see it everywhere, and it's on their website, and you could get to the link and get there. But, you know, those types of talents should be exposed right here in this forum with that camera on, because we videotape these, and I think we need to start getting back to that. You know, and maybe looking at trying to get, we have enough talent in this district to maybe put something up for every meeting and have, whether it's a poem or, you know, a performance, a video, you know, whatever it may be. I think we really need to consider maybe putting that somewhere on our agenda so we can start, you know, highlighting the talents and the great things that are going on. We all know it, but some of the people, and believe me, people do watch Channel 20, and, you know, they need to see that stuff. And, you know, as I'm sitting here thinking about those things, you know, maybe it's not a bad idea for some of these video clubs at some of these schools to produce commercials for our Channel 20 highlighting certain things that they do. You know, I don't know, but it's just something. After all, you know, you come out of here. I don't want to walk out of here frustrated. I want to talk about something positive. And you know, those two young ladies did a great job, and it makes me proud to be part of this district when you see that stuff. And ultimately, that's what we do. You know, it is at the end of the day about the kids.
Well,
And maybe we should.
Tony, when you were back when you were teaching at Lorain Middle, and they had the Avid program and all, and Deb Hansen's group, I mean, they did all kinds of things.
It's interesting because we were one of the first districts that had distance learning at Lorain Middle before anybody even knew what distance learning was around here. Smart boards, we had smart boards before they even knew what a smart board was. And I mean, we had that stuff in this district, and we still do, and we just need to start exposing it and
Absolutely.
showing people
We
what we're
visited
about.
Deb Anson's classroom today with the commission, and there's a number of things we can do. You can credit Dave Hall for all these activities. He's got some presentations and performances actually coming up. We had them set up for spring. It's just been such a challenge with what occurred last year, and we are planning on getting back to that. We've had we had a lot of discussion on that because we've got some talent. The principals are at the meetings. They're pushing me. They've got things they want to showcase a lot of. Like kidnapped the principal the other day in the paper, which was very nice. but we have plans for some of those things.
Great.
But if that's a board's pleasure, we will do even more.
I think it's
Absolutely.
great.
Good. Any more comments? Yeah, before we go, as far as a kind of a new business piece, and it's also like, I guess, a board report, I'm going to read this. This is stated to Thomas E. Tucker, Superintendent, Lorain City Schools, from Judy Morgan, Senior Administrative Assistant, School Board Services, dated February 2014, and it's referencing an award of achievement. Each year, the Ohio School Boards Association presents our award of achievement to board members across the state who have demonstrated dedication to self-improvement, service to their association, and work on behalf of their own board. OSBA is pleased to inform you that the Lorain City Schools will be among the districts with a board member receiving the prestigious award in 2014. Of more than 3,400 board members in Ohio, only 58 will receive the honor. OSB is proud of the efforts put forth by board members such as yours and hopes that the district shares that pride. The Award of Achievement will be presented at the OSBA Regional Spring Conference in Ravenna on Wednesday, March 5th. We hope that it is possible for you and other members of your management team to be in attendance. Registration information for the conference has been enclosed for your convenience. And of course, we hope that all of our board members can go, and other administrators who you would select, or teachers. And I guess the awardee, who of course isn't here today, Mitch Fallis earns the OSBA award. This is the press release. For immediate release, Columbus, Mitchell J. Fallis, a board member of the Lorain City School Board, will be presented with one of Ohio School Boards Association's Award of Achievement at one of the association's regional spring conferences. The conference will be held in Ravenna on Wednesday, March 5th. The Award of Achievement is given to school board members in recognition of their commitment to training and leadership activities on their boards of education and region and statewide OSBA activities. So congratulations to Mitchell.
Don't tell him he's not here.
I'll make sure I give him a phone call. Say, Mitch, by the way,
Maybe he watches television.
Let him read it.
give him a call now. See,
Let him read it in the
obviously,
paper.
we could do that. Maybe we'll take a vote. Do we want to call him or just let him read it tomorrow? I think he deserves to read this tomorrow, right? It's kind of like getting traded. You see it on ESPN. So I guess it's better than being traded unless you're going to get a multi-million-dollar contract. Anyway, it's another story. So again, we are proud of Mr. Fallis, and he's a very conscientious board member, and we're excited because this is representing us, and so we're very pleased. When I was informed of this by Mr. Tucker,
Just late Friday.
yep, we were excited. We laughed. We talked about it and said, this is fantastic. So congratulations to Mitch, and congratulations to Lorain City School District. So
Call his wife and tell her.
now, wait a minute. Jim has been known to things get out there. You cannot tell Mitch.
I'm not going to call Mitch. I don't want to tell him at all.
For the record.
Wife.
No, you can't see. Well, I didn't tell him. I told his wife. So, no email releases or anything, Jim. Come on.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. President.
So again, congratulations, and check your schedules, gentlemen. We'll see if we can possibly attend that. Any other committee reports or requests from board members? At this time, we would entertain our second hearing of the public. Looks like the same crew that was here at the first hearing. You see anybody different, Bill? I mean, either. Okay, we will be going to an executive session. Before we do that, because we will come out with no decisions, there is one thing, gentlemen, that I do have an issue with is in terms of announcing our next board meeting. Unfortunately, I am back in Washington, D.C. That first few days of March, and our board meeting, I believe, is on March the 2nd, 3rd. I'm requesting that perhaps we can move that meeting to the Thursday that week.
Well, why don't we see if we even need him? Tom, what do you think?
Dale, do you have anything else?
I have nothing for that meeting.
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
Jeff? Oh, he
Yeah, yeah. Jeff should have something for me. So
It's construction.
what we'll do is let's set the date, and then if we find out we don't need it, That way we've taken care of that business. So what date is that, Dale?
The 6th.
The 6th, the day after we get back from Mitch's event.
If you do come back.
I hope I come
And
back.
he may not be there.
He might not be. Yeah, he might. So our next boarding, if there's no objection, would be on Thursday, March the 6th, 6:30 p.m. right here.
Okay.
And at this time, gentlemen, I need a motion. Bill, would you like to?
It's a motion to go to executive session for discussion of the pilot program. It would be item G.
Motion?
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes. And there will be no decisions, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Go enjoy that nice warm weather because it's going to change again real soon.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools, TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.